Really good stuff. I like when you get that specific and you could really, I mean, imagine the work that goes into drilling down. And he doesn't just do this for Cleveland. He does it for all of the skills guys. That's
all his numbers are reasonable. Like he's not using the extremes.
No.
Of
he has a system.
Yeah, right.
And I like what he said about, I did look at the body of work that he's put together. And I sort of juxtaposed that with what we've had from him in Cleveland, but it's been such a small sample size.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he said, look, we did see some flashes. You go back to that second half of the Baltimore game, and it was coming, really, he put together his best half as a Brown right after he completed his worst half as a Brown.
Right. By the way, on his projections, oddly, I thought this was interesting, and I'm guessing he does it with every team. He doesn't have a single player playing more than 15 games, at least on offense.
That's how he always does it.
Okay.
Yep.
Like he's kind of building in an injury or whatever for every player.
Well, come to look at it,
very
few quarterbacks. I think 8, 9 teams last year had one starting quarterback.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Listen, I didn't get my calculator out. This is disrespectful. Listen, I should have went to the math earlier. He said 3,700, right?
Yep. In 15 games. He had him playing 15 games.
Man, okay.
That's not great. I mean, that's terrible, but
217? That's 217 a game.
Well, that's about where he's been.
No, bro. We're not doing that. We're not going to do that.
We should put up his numbers from last year. Last year, he didn't throw for 217 again.
That's a Baker Mayfield season right there.
That ain't it.
Pretty much.
It is. It's very similar.
That is not it.
Put up Baker's numbers from last year. They were better than that.
We don't like
But
them
overall, if you average out his numbers over,
that's about what that looks like.
I don't want
because with Baker, Baker's do a disastrous season this year. Because he checkerboards it.
Yeah.
Great, awful.
The Baker,
Sorry. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
In a Browns uniform, and I'm taking out the Indianapolis game, not counting that. He's averaged 201.5 yards per game.
Okay.
That's where he is.
So it's an upgrade.
So hold on. And so if you take out the Indianapolis game, that means how many games did he play?
11.
Come on, man. Y'all cats is crazy. These 11 games is the most diabolical 11 I've ever seen.
Well, what else do we have?
I was at work. That's like you being
That's all we have the last 4 years.
Hey, look. That's like if I wake up to work 11 days out of 2 months. They be like, but them 11, you be like, bro, but I missed the whole doggone 2 months. That 201, if you look at it, I said 4,500. That might be light. Do you know 4,500 yards?
I think one time he did say 5,000, Mike.
Listen,
no, he started at 5, then he backtracked and said.
Okay, because I know I saw him in that chair one time say, he's going for 5.
Hey, well, listen, 4,500? That's only 264 a game.
Only? That's the new 300 in the NFL. We don't see 300-yard passing games anymore.
We didn't last year a lot.
We didn't last year.
Well,
260.
How many 300-yard passing games were there last year?
I don't know.
Patrick Mahomes only did it a couple times.
I don't know. But
and he's the 300-yard poster child.
Will that continue this year?
Deshaun, I'm telling you, bro. I think, he's laughing right now. He's laughing right now.
I hope so.
He's laughing inside like, okay. I think he's taking screenshots. I think he's being petty.
Listen, I hope you're right.
He's being 264, my bro. Hey, all we need you to do, and
he didn't predict 264. He predicted 270.
What is his highest passing total in a game for the Cleveland Browns in those 11 games?
I think he had one 300-yard game, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was 299.
I don't remember a 300-yard game.
I'll pull it up right now. I got the game live.
It was Tennessee, and they should have been another. It should have been 300, but they called Amari Cooper.
The Amari Cooper one, yeah.
That was 300. That was a 300 right there. 264.
See, he had 11 shots to get to 300, and he did it once. I don't know. To Bull's point, that's all we have.
There's only one quarterback in the NFL that averaged over 300 yards per game last year. Do you know who he is?
Who?
Oh, wait. For more than like 10 games, right?
It's Joe Flacco.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say Joe did it, but it wasn't for
of the guys who played double-digit games. We'll say you want to cut it at double, or you want me to be higher?
Yeah, I think 10 is good.
Double digits is good, Bull, because I'm looking at the same list.
So the highest average yards per game of double-digit guys, because Kirk Cousins did 291, but he missed half the season.
Sure,
he was like 7 or 8 games. C.J. Stroud was the highest.
He
averaged 273.9.
So to my point, Bull, once upon a time, there were multiple quarterbacks every year that aveaged 300.
I wonder.
I think those days are gone. 250 might be the new 300.
2022 was only Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Was over.
Now
over
go
300.
back to 2017.
The last time there was multiple.
Go back to 2017.
Last time there was multiple was 2020 when Deshaun, Mahomes, and Prescott all averaged.
Now go back even further to the real passing era, like 17.
17?
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
0.
18.
3.
19.
3. But Matt Ryan was 298.
Okay, now go back the other way. Like I'm thinking when Favre and Manning and
bet
Brady.
in some of those years there were a bunch of guys in the 280s and 290s.
But we didn't even have anyone there last year.
I don't think it's going to – I think it could start changing back again. I think the kickoff rules could ultimately have better starting field position, which could lead – defenses have adjusted. The league wants offense, though, so they're going to continue to do more things to create more offense.
It's like baseball, really. It's a constant game of cat and mouse. Teams spent so many resources on building offenses that it became a pinball machine.
Yep.
And I just go back to, I think the apex of that was the Buffalo-Kansas City game. And I think the last couple of years in the draft, teams have said, we've got to do something about this. We've got to get better on defense. We've put more resources into defenses. And those 300-yard passing games that used to be commonplace are now somewhat rare.
Now, I will say this. There were 7 guys that averaged between 261 and 274 yards per game. 7.
Yeah, but
that's a quarter of the league.
I know, but
that's down.
It is
but
down.
But there wasn't 7 guys averaging 300.
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Stroud, Tua, Jared Goff.
I wonder what the most was. What was the season that had the most 300-yard passing
Purdy,
games?
Dak, Stafford, and Mahomes averaged between 261
when you think
and
back to
274.
like Marino, Roethlisberger, Brady, Favre.
2011, Jay. There's 5. That's the most I could find.
Now think about that.
In a real quick search.
That's 18% of the league was averaging 300 yards per game.
2004, there were none. The leader was Dante Culpepper. He averaged 294 and a half.
Well, what I want to say is we bringing it back to Deshaun Watson. If he throw for 45, don't you move these goalposts. I don't want to hear not one person in that chat, online, Twitter, talk about empty stats. Don't you empty stat me.
Well, first of all,
don't you empty stat
But it's got to go both ways, G.
Don't you
it
empty
does have to go
stat
both
me.
Got to go both ways.
If he's throwing for 200 a game, you got to own it.
If he's throwing for 200, so here's the thing.
Because that's where he is, and his Cleveland Brown career is 200 a game.
If he's throwing for 200 a game and the Browns is in first place in the division and winning, y'all got to pick. Which one?
No. Because if empty stats don't count, winning without touchdowns don't count.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you both got to own them.
That's what I'm saying.
So if they're 9-1 and he's throwing for 200 yards a game, it's not because he's throwing for 200 yards a game that they're 9-1.
We're not doing that. What I'm saying is, if I'm gonna stand on my 45,
yes.
Don't be saying if the Browns.
You're not gonna hear that from anybody here.
And here's the thing: in Houston, he was throwing for 300 yards a game, and they won 3 or 4 games. But that's not going to happen here because the defense is true.
But that was only 1 year.
It was 1 year.
But I never, not once for me, discounted what he did that year. He played great. The team sucked around him.
You could lose.
And the 2 years before that, he put up big numbers, and they were good.
So it got to go. So I'm not going to come on here if he's throwing for 201 and they win, and I'm like, no, I need more because guess what? It's going to come upon a time when we need that production.
They're not going to, as talented as they are, they're not going to be 9-1 if he's averaging 200 yards a game. I just don't see that.
No, maybe 7-3.
They'll still be good, but they're not going to be 9-1.
I think Mike said it best. The reason he's got the Browns in his 8 that could win a Super Bowl, it's very simple. The roster around him is elite.
Right.
Last year, with this roster, they went to the playoffs with 5 different quarterbacks.
Right, but ultimately they lost in the playoffs
because they didn't have the quarterback.
You got to have the quarterback.
And here's the thing, too. Even if they make a successful season and he averages 200 yards a game, unless it's a Super Bowl appearance, you can't say then going into season 4 that we got our guy, that the trade worked out and everything.
That is why they always talked about it. They got them commercials. Size matters. Size matters.
Damn right.
Yeah, it does.
And guess what?
Numbers matter.
Them numbers matter. Don't let them amp you up. It's fool's gold. They'll tell you it's about winning. They'll tell you it's all about the team.
Well, our guy Earl is our guy Earl or my guy Xavier P on Twitter that pulls that nonsense already.
No, you got to listen. You know where you come from. You come from Clemson. Throwing for 200 yards ain't going to beat Alabama. You know what it is. Don't let them amp you up.
It's not going to win a Super Bowl.
And it's not going to be the Bengals or the Ravens. Give me that 4,500, and you can put this to bed.
I
Because
can
you can come into
guarantee
next
you.
year and say, everybody shut up.
I can guarantee you, whatever. If he's got, did he say it was 8 teams that he had could win a Super Bowl? Is that what he said?
He said they're in his final 8.
Okay. However
Which
many
is divisional playoff round.
However many teams you think can win the Super Bowl, and I think it's a little more than 8, but whatever.
I do too.
Let's say it's 10.
I do too. It's
The
definitely
Browns and the
double digits.
Jets are the only 2 in that group that you're not sure at all about the quarterback.
Yes. So that's why they'd be at the bottom of that group.
Right.
And really, the Jets and the Browns, Bull, they're really
They're very similar.
cousins. They're first cousins, what
Yeah.
they're doing. They've
Obviously-
got so much talent on the roster. And they've got a quarterback that once upon a time was really, really good.
That's right.
And now they just don't know what they have.
With Deshaun, it's inconsistent play and injury. With Rodgers, it's old and injury.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so.
Right.
That was fascinating. And shout out to Mike Clay for putting those
Yeah, good
together.
job.
You can find it online. It is free. Just go on his Twitter. It's pinned. You can see the projections for every player on every team. And I hope he updates the Nick Harris stats to indicate what he
3
said on the show
touchdowns.
That's right.
earlier. We're going to